Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Elmer Moore. I'm the Executive Director of Scale Up Milwaukee, and I'm happy to host a conversation with our friends at Pyramax Bank about one of the most important things every business owner should consider, and that's their relationship with their banker. I'm going to invite you guys to introduce yourselves. Why don't we start with you, Mel?
Sure. I'm pleased to be here today. My name is Melinda Toy. A lot of people call me Mel, and I run treasury management at Pyramax Bank, and I also act as a commercial lender. I've been in banking for about 12 years and wouldn't want to do anything else.
Great to have you in this conversation today. Thank you. And
Thank
Andrew,
you.
why don't you go next?
Yes. Well, hello, Elmer. My name's Andrew. I'm a vice president with Pyramax Bank and the commercial banking team. I've been in banking a little over 8 years. It's great and an honor to be here and look forward to the conversation.
Well, then let's jump right into it. Help me understand what kind of relationship I should be having with my banker. Mel, I'd love to hear from you first.
Sure. It's very important not just to be transactional and look for, you know, check the box and look for the lowest rate, but really to have the relationship, like you said, Elmer. And really, you should be looking for a banker that acts as an advisor and has your best interest in mind. So rather than just looking at a sheet with terms, you should be having a conversation with someone that can guide you in your business, that can give you good advice. I like to connect my clients with COIs. So your attorney, your accountant is very important to your relationship as well as your banker, and they need to all work well together. So I always try to make sure that I know who those people are in the relationship with my clients and talk about it with the business owners and the CFOs. Make sure that we all can work together well and we have the same goals in mind to take the company forward and see growth happen in the company.
You probably know this about me, Mel, but growth is my favorite word. So, Andrew, I'm going to ask you to expand on, one of the things Mel mentioned is that we all have the same goals in mind. Your
Mhm.
goal as a banker, is it the same goal for me as an entrepreneur?
It really is. And that's what I think a lot of people sometimes forget is that as a bank, my goal as a banker is to grow the bank. And the way the bank grows is by growing the businesses in our community. Growing businesses from a bank's perspective, they borrow more money and they have more money on deposit, and that grows the bank. So really, what we want to do as a bank and as a borrower is work together and have a relationship that's built on two-way communication and honesty, because and I know it's a little cliche, the phrase is a rising tide lifts all boats, but as the company grows, so does the bank. And the more growth we have in our area, the more economic prosperity we really have.
You are so on point today. You're talking all my favorite things, economic prosperity included. Mel, so now I understand I've got to have this great trust-based relationship with my banker. What does that mean? How often should I see them and when am I calling them?
Sure. Well, it's very important to talk to your banker often. If you're going through the year and it's mid-year and you haven't had a conversation yet, it's very overdue. Quarterly, I would say, should be a minimum, and depending on the bank's proactiveness and the needs of the client, it really should be more often. So if it's a company that has a lot of high volume payments or disbursements and collections that are more complex, they should really be talking with their banker maybe every week or every other week. As things change, also, you should definitely be talking with your bank. I would say for just a basic business update, if there's nothing major going on, try to touch base quarterly. And ideally, you should have a banker that is reaching out to you. And you can also reach out to them, but it should be the banker that's has you on their calendar and is mindful of wanting that business update on a regular basis.
So I'm going to put you guys on the spot. And you're telling me that, you know, business owners and entrepreneurs should have at least quarterly conversations, that they should be sending in business updates and calling with good news, bad news, and otherwise. I'd love to hear from you. What's the most interesting news you've heard recently? Tell us a story about good news you've heard recently or bad news you've heard recently from one of your clients.
I've got some really good news from one of our clients. We had a client that was able to pivot in their product that they were manufacturing during this COVID-19 pandemic, and they were able to kind of retool a little bit and sell a product that is very, very needed. It's hand sanitizer right now, and by being able to pivot and retool some of their equipment, they were able to drive sales at a time where they might have seen some sort of contraction.
That's a great one. Melinda, any stories come to mind for you?
I have several stories. It's been a very interesting year, but I do stay very connected with my customers. So, and they're used to reaching out to me when things are going on. So, Andrew shared something positive. I can share something not so positive, but that was necessary to share. I have one client that really was going through COVID, really hit their business hard. They did get a paycheck protection loan, which helped them actually survive. Without that, they might not have been able to. However, business was just slow to get started again. They do business throughout the Midwest, and because of their footprint and the shutdowns, they were not able to do what they normally do to make money and make ends meet. So they had to pretty much look for options to either sell the company, liquidate the company, or somehow change the structure so that they could get rid of the less profitable aspects of their business and make money. And so, um, receiving the news of, hey, we're still not profitable, even a couple months after the shutdowns, was not necessarily fun news, but it allowed me time to work with the client because I had advance notice to put some options together for them. And so now they're looking at actually partially selling some of the assets, but also liquidating some of them as well. And in the end, the owner should be made whole, the bank should be made whole. But it would not have been gone that well if we didn't know in advance.
Sounds to me that you're turning what could be really terrible news into something that everyone can walk away with whole, as you put it. You know,
Definitely.
each of you are describing stories that are uh, really related to what's happening right now. This year has been challenging at the very least for all of us. What are the special considerations we should have as it relates to relationships with our bankers, as it relates to finding a new relationship banker, and so on, right now, given the pandemic conditions and so on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead. Go
Mel.
ahead, Andrew. Okay. I'll take this one first. Kind of along the lines I was talking about with my example, I think it's very important that clients ask themselves proactively right now, what is their biggest challenge? Um, a lot of times they're so focused on surviving or just day to day right now. They're not looking at the bigger picture. And if they ask themselves, what can we do from here to help, next year be more positive? It helps them stay true to their mission as well as take care of the day-to-day details, but also give a heads up to their bank, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. What are not only the good things, but what are the bad things? And if you're with the right bank, they'll reward you for doing that. They will work with you. They won't penalize you for having a tough time, but really try to come alongside and work through it with the client and the company.
So it'd be impossible to talk about this year without mentioning, as you did already, the emergency financing that many of your customers, I'm sure, accessed. What do we need
Right.
to know about coming out of that? we're hearing about loan forgiveness. We're hearing about some folks that are choosing those products to refinance their existing debt. Kind of, what do we need to know?
Well, right now, there's a lot of good things happening that can really benefit a small business and a small business owner. I'm happy to say that at our bank right now, we have seen our first PPP loans forgiven. So that takes a little bit of anxiety off of a business owner's mind, whether or not this loan is going to be forgiven or whether or not they have a liability then that they have to repay. So now that we're seeing that happen, I know it's taking a little bit of heartburn away from business owners. But the PPP is closed for applications and has been, but a lot of local government and quasi-governmental authorities have opened up loan pools and grant pools to really help businesses jumpstart, whether it's buying hand sanitizer and PPE for their employees as they welcome them back to the office, or it's money to help them make payroll or make rent. There are programs out there. I know a lot of our clients, and I know a lot of the clients who Scale Up Milwaukee are Milwaukee based. And I know there are a number of programs from either the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee County, and also statewide that were actually just announced a few days ago. So those grants are back up and open, and I believe they're taking applications until November 2nd or 5th. Excuse me, I can't remember the date. But anybody who's needs a little bit of extra cushion to help them weather the storm, that's something to take a look into. But kind of the emergency financing that's out there is the PPPs are being forgiven, but there are local initiatives out there. So I'd always check your municipality, talk to your alderman, talk to your mayor, whoever. They can help you steer you in the right direction.
And we will make sure to include some links to all of those grant programs from the city, the county, as well as WEDC. Melinda, anything that you want to add to kind of the state of emergency financing right now?
Sure. I will just say that, it really was a lifesaver for a lot of our clients. And at our bank, at Pyramax Bank, we really took it seriously and got on top of it right away for not only our customers, but for other businesses in the community that maybe they didn't have a strong relationship with their bank. And so we were able to help them, stay viable and stay in business. I would say emergency financing has been helpful, but at the same time, don't rely on a second round of PPP funding or whatever the name of the program may be. Businesses should really try to look at their model now as if no additional funds may be coming. What can we do today to cut costs, to be more efficient, to maybe cross train or utilize our staff in different ways, maybe adding responsibilities instead of adding a staff member. That is a conversation we're having ongoing right now as we talk to our clients. So, and I think it's really some good advice for all of us to operate smarter and better than we have been.
And Elmer, if I may add something to what Mel's talking about, as she said, the future of PPP, a second round, is uncertain. And emergency financing, as we call it, might be fewer and far between. But still have that conversation with your banker. If you have a need for financing to implement a new project or to help retool your factory or your business model so that you can be more efficient, talk to your banker about that. Like we've said in this conversation, the good and the bad, we want to hear it. And a lot of times we can help come up with a creative solution that even at a time where our economy isn't, roaring as much as we want it to be, we can still, help your business grow.
I'm really fascinated by how many times you all have referred to relationships and these ongoing partnerships where you actually help business owners figure out their growth opportunities and navigating some of their challenges. Sometimes those relationships go a little bit sour or they don't meet expectations.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do then? How do you find someone new to to date?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. And when things start not working for whatever reason, maybe the bank or the banker are not the right fit for you. When you look at a new bank, in essence, and I know a lot of people have said this before, it's a lot like dating. You need to find a bank and a person and a banker that's going to be a good fit. You want to ask the right questions. You want to know the approval process and the process to make things happen with your bank. Some banks have different underwriting standards, some banks have different approval standards. Understand how they get to approving your loan. Does it touch one hand, two hands? Who approves your loan? That's a big thing to understand. What happens when there needs to be a change down the line? What's the process for that? How long will it take to make a change? How flexible can the bank be? And another big thing that I think a lot of small businesses could benefit from when looking at a new banking relationship is ask how many customers they have like you. Your industry, your size, your borrowing needs, your treasury management needs. Because often a bank will have experience in one industry or another, or a host of industries, where you want to find the one that understands how your business works. Because when they understand how your business works, it's going to make the relationship work that much better.
Okay, so Mel, I walk into a new bank, or I call, or I have a Zoom meeting, and I'm essentially interviewing a new banking relationship prospect.
Mhm.
What are the three questions I should ask?
I would say the first one is ask yourself first, as a business owner or as a business, what are my banking needs and why do I need a partner? And then from there you can ask your bank, does it line up with my needs? So you can go through those maybe top 4 or 5 things that are non-negotiable, and maybe there are some things that you can live without, but those, I would say, look for those top 5 things that you really want in a partner, and ask that bank directly, is this something you're able to do? Do you have the capabilities? um, like Andrew said, have you served companies in my industry before? And it's not necessarily a deal breaker if they haven't, but they need to show some initiative of, but we are committed to learning and we love new businesses like yours and we want to walk alongside you on your journey. So, are they interested in your company? Can they meet your banking needs capability wise? And then also ask too, not just on the credit side, but the deposit side, my day-to-day banking needs. If I need cash, if I need currency, if I'm completely electronic, are you guys able to meet my needs? Can I log into online banking and process checks from my desk right now? I don't want to go to the bank in this current environment. If there are yes and no's in there, it will really help you pare down who is a viable partner for you. A big one that we get sometimes as a smaller bank, is, can you handle my international needs? Can you do a foreign currency exchange? Do you have your own Swift code? Is it going to be a pain if I'm trying to receive an international wire? And we have actually invested in the technology to serve clients with those international capabilities that larger banks have, but not every bank does. So you need to really get granular when it comes to the payment side as well, in terms of day to day, so you can minimize those issues that could arise if you didn't have the right partner.
So what I heard was our expectations about relationships with our banker is that we should talk to them at least quarterly. We should be excited to share the good news, and we should be just as quick to share the bad news. And our expectation is that they should partner with us to help solve our problems and take advantage of any opportunities. I think I heard we should interview banking relationship prospects, ask first ourselves, what do we need? And then ask our banking partner 5 or 6 questions about whether or not they can fulfill those needs. I really enjoyed everything I've heard. And before we wrap, is there anything else you'd want to share with our audience?
I
Definitely.
just go ahead, Mel.
We're both trying to leave a little space for each other. And yeah, I would say that's a very good summary of how we approach our relationships and the client should approach the banking relationship. I think right now I would just give the word of advice that interest rates are low right now. There's a lot of banks out there that are just looking to have a transaction with a company, and a lot of times that really low rate looks very good, but you need to look under the hood and you need to study that bank and get to know them, because it might not be the long-term partner just because there's an attractive introductory offer, um, or rate, or something on the deposit side that it, they're incenting you by. Really take some time and don't make rash decisions that are only transactional.
I like it. Andrew, you sort of
Yes,
get the last word.
I would say trust your gut. As a business owner, trusting your gut is what's gotten you to this point in your career where you're interviewing banks and making these tough decisions. We want a relationship that's based on mutual respect and open communication and honesty. You want the bank to be honest with you about what they can and cannot do and what they're doing, in servicing your money and financial needs. Just on the flip side of that, the bank wants a customer who's honest and tells them what's going on with the business and the both the high points and the low points. So I'd say trust your gut, and following up with what Mel said, is there's a lot of banks out there looking to service a transaction, but look into yourself and say, does this banker and this bank I'm meeting with, do they really understand my business and meet my goals? So in summary, trust that gut. It led you to a good place now, and it will lead you to an even better place with your banker.
Andrew and Mel, thank you so much for giving some time to us today and for sharing your insights about ideal relationships with bankers, as well as some of the important information we needed to understand about emergency financing. We're looking forward to hopefully seeing you in person soon and our continued relationship as partners. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you as well soon.